waiting on?
Ron and John. Ron, John.
John just walked out to go to the bathroom, so he'll
That was the problem you solved. Okay.
Is what it is.
Yeah.
That's not a good way to put it. We have to change it.
All right. Welcome back. Oh, I thought he was gonna close the door. He went out.
Still one more.
Ron's coming.
Go ahead, shut the door.
Yeah,
Ron's coming.
Help, you can open it.
He's right here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So guys, just to go briefly, I know he's walking in. I'm gonna go ahead and go back. So boom, we have part two. Now, we'll close the door. Okay, so the start of part two, guys, we're gonna look at a couple things, right? So before we talked about like emotions, negotiation, ethos, pathos, logos, how to interact with people, right? How to actively listen. Next steps we're going to next is we're actually gonna understand the people we're talking to, right? So we never got who are we talking to? Right? Introverts, extroverts, we're going to go into that a little bit very briefly. And then what we're going to do after this slide, like I told a few of you, is we're going to go ahead and have a discussion. Okay? How we doing so far? Pretty solid? Okay, so here we go. So when we hear the word, so the question is, are you an extrovert? Right? Important for team building. So this is an important team building concept. Did you guys go over this yesterday?
We didn't talk about extroverts for team building, no.
Okay, so what I found is people want to be understood the same way we do. And as salesmen, we know that that's one of the priorities, understanding, right? Although we're listening empathetically, we can also imply on personality. That helps you better use ethos. So you guys are like, well, Aaron, you may have to ask, well, Aaron, how are you using ethos, but you don't really know the person? Right, that's a little bit from hearing their personality, hearing their tonality. Higher pitch, sound like they're always gonna go. We could imply that they may be an extrovert. So knowing that, we could kind of put in a bubble. Well, if we're thinking about an extrovert, well, what things would an extrovert do? Right? Outgoing, a little bit more outgoing, always social. So you can pick up these things to add to value to your conversation on the daily with your different clients and things and whatnot. So this adds a lot of value if you take details as to what client you're speaking with, what their personality style is, and how you can evolve and have deeper conversations. Okay? Here we go. So some four things I have here on the board. Pretty standard with being an introvert. They love networking. By the way, by a show of hands, who's an introvert? Anybody? I mean, extrovert. Extrovert. Yeah, who's an extrovert? Bingo, I knew it. I can see the ones that aren't, too. You can see it, too. The ones that come up and are vibrant, the ones that kind of chill and rather not come up. I can literally see the combination. And so when we come with the extrovert, some things that come to mind, they typically like networking, right? They typically like putting a hand with the face, shaking hands all day, meeting people. They love outside sales, things like that, okay? They love kind of interacting, inquiring more, etc. Now, the next thing we have is a team player, okay? And we're going to go kind of fast because we have some things to pick up on. So, team player, usually, hey, they like to come together, build a team, things like that, right? Next thing I like to say, quick decision making. Extroverts, typically have, sometimes they can have quick decision making tendencies, right? Be like, oh, well, all this goes on, why do we do that? And so, right, flamboyantly outgoing, right? And I consider myself an ambivert, which we're going to talk about in a second. Okay? And we're going to understand the three types of people we're interacting with on the daily, whether that's our family, people at church, right, our clients. All this is actually more important than people might think, right? Helps us with our implication. Go-getter. Extroverts are more go-getters, right? They love their race. They're one of those guys at the casino that like to roll the cards on, right? If they're a casino guy, right? That's an extrovert. So we got to understand the mentality and the structure of the extrovert so we better can communicate with extroverts. Any questions or any thoughts? Extrovert. Outgoing, extrovert, bright. You may call a client, ring, ring. Hey, I'm on the beach today, and I'll be in Utah tomorrow. Probably he's somewhat of an extrovert. He's outgoing, so then you can open it. So then you can take that and say, well, hey, you're on the beach today. Hey, you seem like a guy that likes to have a little bit of fun. Have you thought about XYZ, XYZ, XYZ? Builds trust and rapport because we implying on his character and personality, and that's using ethos. You gotta take this picture. Yeah. This is big. This is big. I like how you smile, John. This is big. And so this, guys, is how we imply. You ask, well, Aaron, how can I use this on my day-to-day life? Like, why is this relevant? Well, when we have topics like this, when you understand people better, you can listen better, you can imply better, build better relationships. Anybody want to give me feedback on that? What we doing?
You know what's interesting about this, the reason why I took the picture is when I first thing I picked up on there was a quick decision maker. You know, it's in our family. I'm the guy that makes the quick decisions. Okay, and everybody always says, if you want a decision, go to dad. you know? And so, I never knew why, I never knew why, you know, but it makes sense now, you know, as to why that is.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm like you, I'm like when they call me to go to Vermont, they're like, you go, why not? Yeah. Like, we just make it quick. It's like, we're just out going like that, and that's like that. Now, we're also gonna talk about introverts and ambiverts. So my introverts and ambiverts, I'm not leaving you out, but I did wanna touch base on that, and that will give some clarity to.
Never heard of an ambivert.
Ambivert. Okay, here we go. I got something for you. Let's keep moving though. We're gonna move a little faster pace this afternoon. Boom. So we have a discussion. Right? I told you what it is, how it could be used in your day-to-day life, and then when you use it, kind of what you can apply. Right? Now let's talk about you. This is an open floor group discussion amongst one another. Right? Anthony and John and everybody else, right? It's the topic. I am sure many of you have friends or family members, as we were just hearing from John, who are extroverted, right? My question is, how would you communicate with someone with such an outgoing personality? How do you build rapport with someone with such an extroverted energy? How do you do that? What does that even look like, right?
You employ your listening skills even more because they're the ones that wanna talk.
And ask open-ended questions that will allow them the floor, and they'll go. You should take notes.
Anybody else? Anybody? And those are great, by the way, Ron. Those are great, by the way. Extroversion. Someone that's sporadic. Someone that's right, always moving, always shaking a hand. How do you get that person's attention? How do we make that sell? How do we have that conversation? And once again, this is a discussion amongst us.
It's a little bit easier if you're an extrovert yourself.
So you say you like and like, so
I
extroverted,
tend
extrovert.
to disagree because it's hard for you not to take a platform.
You have two alpha males, kind of, yeah, I can see you.
That's one point. Anybody else want to talk on that? Will that collide or will it not?
But you know, my wife says all the time, she says, if we go to a party, she said, she's not the one that wants to go out and communicate. She said, you can talk to anybody. And so I think the extrovert is more open in his communication style and will engage and can ask a very simple question or statement, nice shirt, right? You know, because I always say, you don't have to have anything in common, you just gotta start a conversation.
That's literally it.
How we do that?
That's
Yeah.
it. That's it. I
Yeah.
like that. I like that. Anybody else? This is a conversation discussion. We're bouncing ideas off each other. All right? We're growing each other.
I was told silence, how is it? I'm not a fan of silence. If it's silent, I wanna talk. Like, so if there's silence, like, oh, somebody's gonna say something because it can't be silent, so.
Ooh, we're gonna talk about that. That's actually in here. I need to hurry up and get to it because you brought up a great topic. But silence, I love silence because that's one of the best negotiation tools ever. But John, you really, I love silence. Do I use that so much? I may have used it early in the first session, maybe, and I just paused, and then you notice someone spoke.
For an extrovert, that's the hardest thing to do.
It is.
I agree. And you gotta teach yourself time to shut up. Yeah.
You
Well,
got
no, there's a time to shut up, it's different than silence. I mean, the silence, if there's silence, I mean, yeah, you don't wanna overtalk somebody, but,
right.
but I mean, when there's silence, I'm talking about if I'm sitting in a car and it's been silent for a minute, I'm gonna talk, not about.
First one to talk loses though in negotiation.
You throw that $10 million deal on the table, you just wait. Just look around, just kind of breathe, act sophisticated.
First one that blinks.
That's true. So we're going into some topics today. So we're understanding extroverting, the people we're reaching, the people we're listening to, the people we're negotiating with. Here we go. Let's keep going. Right. So that was that. And the next question: what strategy do you use in order to build rapport? So same thing. But there can be more of a strategy than some of the surface level things we talked about. With an extroversion, well, if we understand that they don't like being quiet that often, that much, and we understand that they're always moving, then what does that say about their thinking?
Shut up.
So then what? Go ahead, Ron.
Well, it's fractured. I mean, they're here a little bit, then they're here, then they're here. Sometimes it's hard to follow.
Sometimes it's hard to follow 100%. You have anything, John? I'm getting a lot of smiles from you.
I can be the fractured guy.
Have you heard that feedback before, though?
Yeah.
You have. So this
Yeah.
is accurate to what you've experienced.
Yeah, because I can be told, you know, because I get stumbling. I get talking and then I get stumbling because there's too many things going through my head to try to bring out, and I have to stop it and clear those thoughts and stay on one.
Right, I have that same thing going on there. I do as well, a little bit. Cool. So the strategy, so let's talk about this, right? And with Vince tooling, we're making sales, $10,000 to $15,000 sales, and we're talking to someone extrovert. Now, the first thing I'm hearing today is that we're hearing that their thoughts are always moving quickly. So we're talking to someone they're doing well in sales, their company's doing well, we're selling them a solution, their brain is always fractured, but we have to get their attention. Sound like that is a little bit of a problem. So how do we actually handle that problem or approach that problem? What are we saying in our language, or what are we doing that's different to get their attention because we don't have it that long?
Or are we trying to get the attention of another extrovert?
Yes, there you go. We're trying to get the attention of an extrovert who owns a company that we're pitching to.
Because there's times where you go into a company and you're talking to somebody and he's going 100 mile an hour and you're trying to find a way to pull him back to so you've got to start asking some very focused, open-ended questions that require him to give you more than a yes or a no answer.
Can I say something? We just heard the solution from the extrovert himself. You noticed that, right?
Yeah.
How inverse that was. We're trying to get the answers to how to line up the extrovert from the extrovert, the best way to go.
Yeah.
Right? He says you got to ask a more focused question. So if we want to write this down, guys, if there's one takeaway, when we're talking to someone extroverted, when we're talking to someone in the community, a client, a family member, we already know that they're way over there having fun, they're wild, right? Wild mentally and wild in expression.
Right.
We go, let's get a little focused. Hey, John, I knew we talked about that shirt.
Yeah.
Is there like a couple stores you actually like to shop at, or is it?
Yeah.
I know you like many colors.
Yeah.
Right? Something like that. We
Right.
focused on what? We talked shirt, right? Now we're talking shirt color, maybe location, and I limited the extrovert's mind to 2. Did you catch that logo in there a little bit? Hey, what 2 stores did you possibly shop for?
Yeah.
Because when I say shirt to you, you may talk about the shirt that you're going to buy next week, the casual wear you're thinking about for tomorrow. Your mind is everywhere. You're an extrovert.
Yeah.
But what 2 stores did you shop at to get that color?
Yeah.
All right, and I helped wind down the extroverted mind.
Right.
We got to know this. This is very important, guys, because this helps our empathetic listening. This helps us relate to different clients and make different sales. Here we go. Let's keep moving. Let me go right here. Bingo. Okay, good. So the next thing we're going to talk about is when you hear extrovert, that's what we just talked about. Now we're going to go introvert. Introvert. Now we obviously we can kind of imply, right, since we're working on implications, that extroverts are bright, big and large, right, personality-wise. Introverts are more secluded, focused, oriented, quiet, right, sophisticated. All right, here we go. So here's what introverts here, right? So they usually give big picture reasons. They like to know why. Well, Aaron, we did we did 2.3 million in sales last year, and so why did you think this solution mattered if we talked about this like 6 months ago? And then he'll take that information, he'll sit quiet, and he'll think. Is this behaviors that you guys are familiar with? Yeah. Right, I'm getting some head nods. All right, so understanding that, so if we're going into that as a sales professional, as a business consultant, as a servant, right, and we pick up on these nuances, don't you think we'll be more likely to get different sales at different prices with different people? It opens up the game. Right? I understand, well, he's an extrovert. Oh, maybe I should attack him this way, approach him this way, use this strategy. Any feedback, any thoughts so far?
What I used to do with introverts is, especially if I was new with a company, is I would tell them, I'm new, I'm green, I can learn from you. So anything you can help me, I would greatly appreciate it. Because people love to tell you what they know.
That's right. Anybody else? Or maybe talk about maybe a situation or example when you all made a deal or were trying to make a deal with an introvert and how that went? Maybe recently?
Well, I am one to a large degree, and it takes me a long time to respond. I want to think it through. I know Rocky's the same way. He's not quick to jump on a response, but we're going to weigh out the pros and cons. If I'm having a conversation with my wife, she wants a decision right then, and she's hardly had time to think about it. It's just coming to me, and I have to ponder it a little bit and think about it, pros and cons. And so for me, I need the time just to process and let them know ahead of time thing, hey, I'm coming, I'd like to talk about this. To me, that would give me time to prepare, time to think, time to come up with good questions that I wanna ask you.
Mhm.
So,
And that's valuable. Thanks for sharing. My man, he likes to let them know ahead if you plan to call them out, right? You like a process, right? You want to gather your thoughts.
Yep.
And I'm getting some head nods from. You said introvert earlier, right? Yeah. So you want to gather your thoughts. Hey, don't bombard me with all these ideas. Don't bombard me with all these leads. Don't bombard me with all these clients or vendors or suppliers or machinery or tools or equipment. Let me maybe give me a list. I'll go back, spend some time with myself and organize it the way I like to organize it. Is this sounding familiar to you? Right. And that's it. And so guys, this is so helpful because it allows you to connect with people different from you in all areas of life. Like some people say, I'm sure you've heard the, man, I don't like that guy. He's just not my guy. He's not my type of guy. Well, maybe so, but the sale still has to kind of be made. Like, unfortunately, that doesn't really answer all the questions. You know what I'm saying? Like, we still have to find a middle ground somewhere. And the best way to do it is maybe start with who they are, and then working in their favor, sometimes and not in ours. How are we doing so far?
I think it's easier as a salesman
Mhm.
for an introvert to relate to introverts or to extroverts.
Yeah.
Because an introvert can put on a mask and go along with an extrovert, but an extrovert can't. Extrovert's gotta be.
You're right. No, he's right.
Yeah, extrovert's gotta be in control of the life of the party, you know.
But there's,
And that's why I try to pull the introverts in and try to get him to engage with me by saying, I'm a newbie. I'm not a newbie. I'm 63 years old. I've been in this industry a long time. He doesn't really know that
Yeah.
because I'm new to it. But I will try to pull out from the introvert. I can appreciate where Mark's coming from. I hate that. I hate, as an extrovert, I hate that. I have to call and tell you what I'm going to talk about because in my mind, he's gonna be putting up blocks all over the place. He's already prepared.
That's right.
Yeah, my wife hates me.
So it's opposite. And so the thing is, the reason I put this in the slide, guys, is this is so common. Like, this is like the foundational levels of like understanding and empathetic listening. We're listening, but we don't even know the type of person we're listening to, or we don't understand their mental structure. It would so help if we're listening to someone and we understand the diagram of the follow of how they're coming up with their concepts. And then, oh, you said that because you think like that. Matter of fact, well then since you think like that, and you brought this up, would this make sense to you? Right? That's a consultative approach. That's why this is on the screen today. Okay, let's look at a couple other. They like to give them time to respond. Boom, boom, think before speaking. A little bit more solitude. A little bit more processes are aligned, right? A little more thought process, right? We already know big picture reasons. We already talked about let them know ahead of time. For example, that might look like, hey, we're gonna go down to the ranch in 2 months. Go ahead and put your deposit in and bring the family. And what I was thinking about doing, let's go to Longhorn the night, the dinner, we get in town. And you let them, okay, cool, right? That's more what they need. For example, an extrovert would be like, hey man, let's get in town. Let's kind of go hang out and see what we do, right? Or man, we're gonna get in town and man, let's go riding down the beach, right? Let's go down Beach Sunny Drive and just see how we end up. Does it sound like you, Jeff, a little bit? Yeah. And so I'm getting a lot of relatability from all of you because we got to understand. Now that we know Jeff is like this, if I was to sell to Jeff, well, hey, he's an extrovert. He likes to ride down the beach, right? He's in town. I fly in. Dude, let's go get lunch. And literally, maybe we walk on the beach and have a conversation, right? You told me a little bit about what you do. Maybe there's something in the middle, but let's try it on a walk or a drive. So now we tailor our sales pitch or our sales approach according to personality style, increases the chance of us getting what we need from the sale. How are we doing so far? Yeah?
And I got a question.
What you got?
Figure out how to word the question.
Yeah.
Okay, so my daughter likes to create detailed timelines for the day.
Detail. Okay.
Okay, and I'm, let's say vacation, detailed events for vacation,
Sure.
okay? When I go on vacation, I am very open and flexible, and I say, we do one or two things today, that's fine. If we do 10 things today, it's probably a little bit too much.
Okay.
But her mind is, we wanna do this, and so when you go on vacation with her, you wear yourself out. Where does that personality fit into the introvert extrovert? I can see mine being more extrovert, but is hers an extrovert too?
I'm glad you asked that question. It also leads to the question you asked me before, what is an ambivert? So there is a middle ground.
Okay,
And I'm actually the middle ground. So I understand where your daughters come from, where there's creative out the mind,
yeah,
right out the wazoo.
Right.
But then there's still some structure to things.
yeah,
So it's not so risky or out there all the way. There's control to the riskiness. That's an ambivert, and we're gonna go there next. But we're gonna answer that question next when we get to
Okay.
ambivert. Okay? Here we go. Let's keep moving. We got some slides to do today. So there's gonna be a discussion, right? And it's similar to the last one. Now that we have a clear understanding of what characteristics of both introversion and extroversion, right? Introversion and extroversion. What can you do best to collaborate with customers, family, or friends on both ends of the spectrum? Now, before ambivert, that's next. But right now with introvert, so we have our far left and our far right. Our far, I need to think things through, line it out, plan it for me for vacation. And over here, let's go on the beach, let's go on the ride and have a beer, right? So we have our left and our rights. How do we actively strategize and engage with the left and the right on the daily? How are we doing that? And how are you currently doing that? Do you guys look at personality when you talk to someone, or is it just what they say?
I've been thinking right now, I've got a customer, the head of engineering, extrovert, and you deal with him, and we're walking down, when we're walking back to the machines, we're walking fast, and doing this, and then his assistant, he's always sitting at his desk, and it's just, to me, I mean, that's what makes or breaks a salesman. You have to play to your audience.
That's right.
So I mean, and I don't know whether, to me, I can't explain what I do, it's just a natural thing.
Okay, I have a question. In that situation there, let's say as a matter of fact, administration desk is to the front of the office. You're coming back from machinery. We're side by side walking quick. And right when you step out of the machine zone and you get back into the office setting, how does what are you doing to switch up? Or get switch personality? For example, that was an extrovert, that was an introvert. In that 3 seconds, what are you doing differently?
I guess one thing like, hey, you're with the expert, he's telling jokes, and I'm laughing.
Yeah.
I'm not getting, when I go to the introvert, neither one of us are gonna tell jokes, we're just, it's more, I'm not saying you seem to listen more, because you have to wait for a response, and you have to play, I mean, I don't know, it's a natural ability, I don't know.
You adjust.
Yeah,
You naturally
yeah,
adjust.
you have to, I mean, and I don't know, I mean, I've been told I'm a salesman since I was 16 years old, and I don't know why people told me, it's just because things come naturally sometimes.
Same. I'm with you. Same. Let's continue. Anybody else have thoughts on that one? Ron?
Well, I think, with an extrovert, if you're listening properly, they'll tell you exactly what you need to do to get the order.
Of course.
And an introvert is sitting there and you make these big presentations, and he says, okay, well, what the hell does that mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it's very difficult to read an introvert.
Very difficult to read the process.
I think the interrogative approach is still good. I mean, I like asking questions. And a lot of times you ask questions to lead them where you want to go. Because I've worked with people in the past in design. If it was my idea, it was a terrible idea. If it was their idea, oh, that's perfect.
Yeah.
So I would go to them, already knowing where I wanted to go, and ask them sort of leading questions. I've got this issue right here, and I don't know exactly what would you do there? And, you've given them enough information to answer the question. And when it's their idea, they're all behind it, gung-ho, yeah, let's do it. And so lead the person where you want them to go. If they're processing and thinking, if you ask the right questions, you get them to your result.
That's right.
So, yeah.
There's that leverage word that we came up that taught her. Leverage, guys. We leverage everything. We always can leverage. Always can leverage. Man, you shake your hand here and shake the hand of the real guy you need outside this room. Leverage the handshake. But I was shaking the hand with, what's that guy with the blue shirt? Man, he's really cool. We just leverage that conversation. We don't know him from a bag of chips. We always leverage. Guys, we're leveraging all day. Any other thoughts? Any other thoughts on how we can connect the dots with introverts and extroverts on a daily?
I feel like extroverts like to talk a lot about what they're proud of, and also praising them as well helps get them to open up.
That's a good sales technique. I call it something different than what they call it in like sales, but I call like flattery sometimes. It's okay to sometimes give flattery compliments, and it typically works with the extroverted personality style.
Yeah, like if I'm in a shop and I see a part, I'm like, oh, that's really cool how to do this, and then they'll open up more. if you're interested in what they are capable of doing or see that they are great, so to speak, then they tend to open up more.
Yeah.
And I'm genuinely inquisitive about how they're doing it, because it's part of my job also. So
Yes,
it
yes.
doesn't hurt.
Good job, good answer, good answer. Any other questions, thoughts, or comments? Good feedback, everybody, good feedback. Now let's move on. Now there's the last one I want to talk about. I yielded to John, but it's called ambivert. And as a matter of fact, there's actually a personality test I would like you all to do on your phones. We got the link down at the bottom. It's from the Science of People, okay? Simple form, not too long, but it's actually a detailed personality test. And here we go, ambivert. Okay, we'll do that personality test after I explain ambivert so we can understand the three. So we said extrovert is energized by others. Boom, energized, fired up. Boop, quick, fast walking, walking past the machinery, walking on the beach, shaking a hand while we go to a networking event, having a beer, having a glass with the lady, and have friends over. Extrovert. Acts when things, welcomes interruption. Hey, come on in, yeah, hey, Bob, how you doing, Bob? Come on in, man, right? Those guys. Let's move on. Ambivert. Now, this is myself. Ambivert, right? A person whose personality has a balance of extrovert and introvert features. Keyword here is balance, right? Not saying that the other two aren't balanced, but they're just bigger expression in the other two in one direction. In this direction, there's a lot of expression in both directions. That's why it's called balance in the definition. How we doing? The balance there is expression in both areas of personality. Boom, boom, boom. They may lean more toward extroverted or introverted depending on the situation. Depending on the situation, they may lean towards extroverted and introverted. For example, today, right? Well, I'm extroverted right now, right? We're big, we're wide, we're loud, we're shaking the hand, we're cracking jokes. Then I may get in the car and may listen to an audiobook. It's kind of, because the car is quiet and it's a simple setting with just two people, so it's a little bit different transition. So that's an ambivert. So going back to your situation, I would have to ask more questions to know. I wouldn't diagnose, ambivert or not. But you want to, I would need more behavioral skills. Like, does she hang out with friends? And then if that's the case, does she like writing and reading? Like, I would need to know which sides of the spectrum she's really leaning towards to know if it's a balance or if it's either or.
Yeah, it must be more of an ambivert because she's more like me. She's more outgoing, more of an A-type personality. But I see these characteristics that I couldn't place, and so but she's the detail person. So I'm on one side, my wife's on the other side, and I always thought Erica was over there with me, but I see these things and
It's a difference.
Yeah.
That, what's crazy, John, you said something that just reminds me. Ambivert is one of the ones that no one actually talks about, right? But it's so clever to understand. It'll add so much clarity to who you're speaking with, right? For example, you may see, they say that it can throw you off if you don't know the personality of somebody, right? Like they do this thing called reading the room, right? I learned that from my father and men of your status and generation. Aaron, go out there and read the room, right? Well, if we're reading the room, we're networking. We're here to close a sale or network with someone to sell. And we see them in the corner. But then they walk to the front of the room and shake a hand and smile and have a beer. But we need to, we see them, okay, so they are introverted, they like their own space, but then they like to shake a hand. Or they may need to shake a hand and they're comfortable doing it. Okay, ambivert. So it's best that I approach him, maybe when he's either around people or walking away from people, just so I can catch him in the energy of talkative energy before he gets closed off in his introversion. How are we doing? That was a strategy that I just gave out for free right there.
Has anybody ever heard of an ambivert?
I've never heard.
I haven't, but I actually know a person, I think,
Yeah.
that we were talking about the other day. So let me ask you a question.
What you got?
You're on for 8 hours today. So I mean, you're on and you're an extrovert right now.
Sure.
You're on. But now, do you need to zen after tonight?
Yeah.
See, and that's what, like
Somebody,
me.
you knew that.
No, because we were talking about that, Chris and I were talking about a guy that we used to work with that was like that, because he gave presentations, and did this, but I'm like, hey, that was great, let's go have beers. No, I gave it everything I had today, I gotta go home and do this, and I think in the last month or two, or whatever, the stress levels, I used to, after 5 o'clock, come around, hey, let's go play volleyball, let's go do this, I'm gonna go for a run. And actually, I think I'm kind of turning more of that, because I do need to decompress now. I've never had to decompress my whole life, so I might be turning into an ambivert.
And we always change,
Oh, yeah.
guys. We're always evolving. We're always growing. Like, we start off, most kids, hey, wow. Some kids end up just being the best writer, right? They just tap into their inner self and personality kind of change. So we do grow and evolve. But yeah, I'm like that. Like after this, my best bet will be a beer, taking it easy, for a couple hours and grabbing a nap, recharging so I can come here tomorrow and redeliver. Right. So I am the ambivert, and that is the characteristics of ambivert. Good question and good statement. Let's go to introvert. Introvert, like we said, they're energized by being alone. That's where they get their energy. That's where they get their power. Right. And then here we go. They think and then they act like we mentioned, and then they dislike interruptions. Now, for right now, what we're gonna do is, because you guys just learned the term of ambivert, let's do a personality test. Right? Everybody, if you have your phones, we have a link right here. I believe if you take a picture and press the link or just type in the link, yeah, it won't be too long. We're gonna do about a 7-minute test.
You think if you take a picture, does it do it?
Yeah, I think another group said if you take a picture of a link, you could click the link on the picture. I've never done it, but
I've never done that.
Yeah, you good? You want me to
It
call?
works.
It works?
Yeah.
Yeah, another group told me it works. I'm like, okay.
How does it work?
Oh, you have to come closer. You have to come closer. Yeah, he's pretty close. Yeah, come on now.
Nice work.
And I'm gonna get my
It's unbelievable. I did not know that.
Yeah, they say if you take a picture of a link, that's even, it works. It works. Let me get some more juice right here. And then what we're gonna do, guys, after you take that test, we're actually going to compare what the test says to actually, what you know about yourself and things like that. Characteristics. That's it.
Oh, yeah, it worked.
Oh, I can copy it.
Detailed question, right,
So you
John?
just go ahead and when the link pops up, you can just press it.
Mine just hit highlighted, it's all did. But I think I have my camera on live, so it does a live picture, so if you are that 10-second picture, so maybe it goes.
Yeah, the science of people, yes. So, you need the science of people type form, so TYPE form.com. So scienceofpeople.typeform.com. And then if you need the slashes, I'll give you the slashes. And it's a very detailed, take your time. We want the right results, right? Take your time, that's pretty detailed right there. Extrovert or ambivert? Introvert or ambivert? Let's find out today. How much time we got? About another 6 to 7 minutes to go. Be quiet while I do that. Any word, right?
That's for me.
Hey, I can text it to you, Jason.
Yeah.
There's a language, body language, is a school policy somewhere.
This is good. I love this. I love this.
What's your,
828-896-63.
896? Oh, I got you. So
This word is right. You playing. What are you trying to get into?
Tim, I can text it to you right now too.
Can't be blurry.
Okay. So take some thought too on that test, so take your time.
Okay, text it to me, please, just prove it, I'm on mobile. Click on that. Click on that. Which phone did you send it to? Oh, there
That
it
was
was, great, thank you.
I'm gonna do what y'all do that. I'm gonna go to the next slide. I'm gonna talk about my good friend Albert.
it started was different than that.
About another 4 minutes left. Going through.
Oh, that's my results, came in now, right? Is that what you had?
Let me see what you got. Let me see what you got.
So. Got that, then it goes to type form, is that what we're supposed to go?
Let me see. Do you have? Let me see. You may have another link. You may not have the right link. Yeah, that's probably you. Probably don't have the right link. Cause you want me to so type in science of people dot typeform
Yeah,
.com /
yeah,
TO
yeah,
/ NGX
yeah,
BNZ.
that's what I did.
That's good. We can go ahead and Is it possible that?
Let me send you a link.
Yeah, that's what I was
Mark,
saying. Someone
What's
send-
your number? Cause I have my personal number. Alright,
Let's do 828-781-4816.
wait, 828-7 what?
Hamburger.
781.
Okay.
And I wondered about this.
You wondered about that?
I did because sometimes I don't see myself being that total
What phone do you, what,
extrovert.
is that
Like,
your personal?
you won't be that all the way. Like, you know how I'm that now, and I
Yeah,
am that.
yeah.
And you're probably this now too, but I bet there's some quiet time you like to have with yourself at some
Yeah,
point.
yeah,
Yeah, we're the
I just
same.
sent you
John.
guys
We're the
the
same.
link.
Trust me, we're the same.
Yeah, which is interesting because I've never heard of that name before, and once I saw that, I started seeing, I thought, energized by others, acts, I do not act and then think.
You think then act, so then you were mixing up, so you had to think then act.
Yeah, right, yeah, because I do not do that.
Mhm.
I think things through before I react to them,
Yeah.
you know? And so when I started seeing some of those things, I thought, oh, that's a little bit different. But I have no problem socializing, and mixing, and being in front of people, and being the leader of something, you know?
I got a question for you, John.
Yeah.
Did that test tell you what you were looking for? The middle ground, the ambivert, the think before acting, but then also the expression of an extrovert.
Yeah.
It made sense.
Yeah, yeah.
And once again, today we're learning about ourselves and all around. So then you just begin, John, you begin to start, maybe you go for a walk, or maybe you go for a drive, and you're like, dang,
Yeah.
well, my niece may be, wow, do you know that have you heard this term? And then you open up conversation
Yeah.
with different family members,
Yeah.
different friends, yeah. It's the
Yeah,
same.
it's funny because this is true. Anyone toxic or difficult completely drains you. You know, so.
Yeah,
I stay away from them, you kind of just.
Yeah.
I like me, so then we enclose and we become introverts at that
Yeah,
point.
yeah.
Then we be extroverts, then we be introverts.
You're an introvert.
And whoever the life of the party that's most obnoxious, I don't like.
You stay away.
Yeah.
You stay. I do that too. I stay away.
Yeah.
Oh, you're middle?
I find them obnoxious.
Well, it just changed. I
Hey,
was an
this is
introvert
I'm
before.
loving today.
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
loving
but
it.
mine changed
This
too.
is
They
listen.
changed.
Yeah.
Like when we're talking and having sales, it's great.
Ah,
But we need tonality. Maybe
I mean,
understand
no
the
one
person.
knew it.
These are valuable,
Right.
very valuable. There are a lot of salespeople.
I was
realize
thinking I was
They
more
just taught a
that.
script.
It's funny because I've studied
I just hear
personality
such white
profile
extroverts are
tests
awesome, so I'm awesome.
and in
Right
depth.
there, is that what it says?
So my wife and I did that.
Why?
Oh, bullshit.
And we needed to do it because we needed
We
to
take the
understand
test.
why we hit that button that, you know, just irritates the other person, you know, so we had to find out the words that, you know, that we say that we misunderstand.
That's right, 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
And so, but this side of it, you don't spend much time on.
You don't, and they don't teach this at all. So y'all, this is a snippet you really want to take with you. Even that link, give it to some people around you. Hey, I know we talk often, but hey, you ever try, your personality style? Want to try a quick little test? By the way, speaking of the test, how did the results align with what you thought about yourself?
Same.
What do we have? Did any extrovert, introvert?
How many were extroverts?
Yeah, if you're an extrovert, raise your hand. Let's do it like that. Extrovert, raise your hand.
Okay.
Wow. Introverts, raise your hand. Wow.
Huh.
And
Ambivert.
me, I can see that, and we're waiting on.
Which how many thought they were different though? Cause I thought,
I didn't know an ambivert existed, so
I didn't either.
I would have always put myself as an extrovert because I knew I wasn't an introvert, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
But I didn't know I could be,
Well, I was quite shy until I started.
Are you sure there's not pizza?
You were shy, you had the introverts until it got exploded.
Joe.
Hey, you I'm about to say,
Joe.
hey, look, I'm over here training. Man, see what I'm saying?
Man, that hook was, say it's gone, baby.
I did say this, I just sent the link to 2 girls on date right now too, let's see what they say.
See what they say, see what they say, dude, it's so valuable, like, even outside of sales, guys, oh my God, it's valuable. Let's keep going though, I got something good for y'all. There's a guy, and I need your phones up on this one too, because what this is gonna do, it's gonna give you all some feedback, and some reference to this law as well. It will help you all a lot in your face-to-face sales, right? So here we go. There's this thing called, and guys, it was for about a couple years ago, I learned about it. It's called Mehrabian's rule. So who this is on our left, the face right here, is Albert Mehrabian. Okay? He was a professor, right? Really wise guy. As a matter of fact, the reference that you're taking a picture of right now is a UK reference, right? Did a lot of work over the UK, right? In the UK. And so he born about 1939. He believed that there are 3 core elements in the effective face-to-face communication. One more time. 3. 20 million, not a long list coming from sales support, telling us how to talk to clients, not all this stuff that diverts us and distracts us. There's 3 main core elements, right? Here we go. Face-to-face communication of emotions and attitudes. The first one would be words used. So I'm gonna go ahead and use the diagram. So words used, 7%. If you write it down, say words used equals 7%. Tone of voice, 38%. And I'm gonna explain each one of these in just a minute. And body language is 55%. 55% body language. Now soon we're about to get to our activity. And I know some of the introverts may not like this as much because it's gonna be an expression of, right? Body language expression. But 55% of our communication for face-to-face interaction is body language, meaning this. I'm gonna do some body language here in a bit after you all get done writing. And I want you all to tell me what I'm kind of telling you through my body, all right? Keep it simple. And we're gonna see how good you all get. Oh yeah, one more, we got a couple more photos in there, doing really well here. Okay, here we go. So, and what we hit on, actually, what we haven't talked about yet is language play all the way. We did talk about ethos, pathos, and logos, which is phenomenal. But there's something else when it comes down to language play that I want you all to take with you. It's so valuable. I learned it a little while ago. It's pretty solid. But we've done tone of voice today. We're now about to do body language, right? And we're going to touch base briefly on words used. But as you can see, for face, so what does this say? It says 3 core elements in the effective face-to-face communication of emotions and attitudes. If we buy with our emotions, right? If we feel connected, if we feel in unison, if we feel respected and trust and all that's built, we're buying face-to-face. There's 3 main things we need, right? It says nonverbal behavior. Facial expressions, for example, tone of voice, the literal meaning of the spoken word, and these 3, and there's one more, face-to-face, emotion and attitudes. Yeah, tone of voice, body language, and words used. Now for body language, let's have fun here. I'm going to show you an expression, and I want you to tell me, if you are the consultant, as you are, and I'm the client, what I'm telling you, right? So let's say I'm still the young CEO, young guy, working hard. Let's say I'm a Southern USA guy, and you're presenting a solution, a problem. And here's my body language. What does this tell you? Oh, before I walk back there, I'm gonna let him take this picture. Here's my body language. What does that tell you? You're selling to me now. You're the consultant, and you see this. You see this across the table, across the room.
Not in the mood.
Not interested. Not interested.
Yeah.
Not in the mood, not interested. How about this one?
Thinking, curious.
You don't believe it.
processing.
Processing, don't believe it, and curious are all correct. How about this one?
Interested.
Yeah, struck a chord.
Struck a chord, that's a good interested, same thing. And guys, these are body language. So Mehrabian's rule, not my rule, but Mehrabian's rule says what? 55% of face-to-face communication interaction is body language. That means that, well, if we flip a coin, there's over 50% chance of succeeding on the sale if we just demonstrate better body language. How are we doing so far? right? Not a rule I came up with, just a rule I'm getting from the UK guy, right? Really good professor. Let's move on. Tone of voice. So then what if we do this? You know, I was thinking. Just that phrase there. The face, the body. Tonalities, the pitch is gonna be high at the end. Practice, we're putting everything together now, guys. We're putting everything together. You know what I was thinking? Why don't we just, you cool if we go for a walk? Yeah, let's do that. Good. That seems like an interaction worth having. We could open up a sales conversation. We could open up a 90-degree right angle conversation on any product or material they need, right? Tonality, coming together. So if we add that and that, that's most of the way we can hear, period. Even if you had sales scripts that you talked about earlier, with that just being 7%, if you do the other two right, you increase the chances by this much of having a sale. How we doing? Any thoughts? Body language. We're gonna do this, and I actually have a slide. It's gonna do like a lot of different ones, but it has this one. I'm sure you see that. This one, the lip bend, the bent lip. How about this one? Not quite sure. Right? You know that a lot. You see that a lot, don't you? Especially when we're talking about high ticket deals, me, myself, and what y'all sell as well. You're gonna see a lot of this. Any feedback from this so far? How we doing on body language? Understanding body language. Pretty good. Now let's role play. Someone come on up. I need a volunteer, and we're gonna get some body. Oh, Jeff is already moving. God, I can't even finish. Jeff, your job is to give out 5 different body language scenarios. Just do it, and their goal is to guess your body language. Hit me. I'm going to the back of the room. Number 1. Number 1, show us something. Come on, Jeff.
Line it out.
I'm not even, that wasn't one, I was just like, get ready.
Go ahead. 5. What does that mean? What does that mean, everybody?
Glad you're here.
He's glad to be there. What else? What else are you picking up from that? His arms swung out wide. He leaned in. What are you picking up from that?
There's a positive attitude toward meeting members.
Right on. Right on.
He's open?
Right on. Anybody else?
He's enjoying the surroundings.
He's enjoying the surroundings. Hit me with number 2, Jeff. Hit me with number 2.
Wasting your time.
Is that disappointment?
He didn't get
Look at the
that.
mouth. Look at the mouth. Is that disappointment?
Yeah.
Look at his eyes.
Yeah.
Look at his cheeks. They're sunken. Everything is sunken in the face. Let's observe this together, guys. Good. I like that. And if you look at his feet, 1 foot is back, 1 foot's up. He's engaged, but he's disengaged. Hands behind his back, lax back. He's not really. His face. Number 3. No, number 3. Ooh. Is that common? Is that common? Frustration.
When are you gonna leave?
When are you gonna leave? Give me 3 more.
Have you ever showed me that one yet?
That's behind your back. Wait.
I'm way better over here. Way better over here. He said, that's behind your back. No. Give me 2 more responses. What did that tell us? What did that tell us? Give it to us again. Give us number 3 again. Yeah. What did that tell us? You walk into an executive's office, and he's looking like that, either before or after you leave. What is that saying?
This is a waste of time.
Waste of time.
Yeah, he shut down.
Shut down. Give me number 4. Go ahead, give me number 4, Jeff. Do something that you see. Ooh.
There's some doubt there,
Doubt.
Yeah.
So uncertainty. What else?
Juggling.
I don't know what to do to this.
Try to convince me more,
Convince
give me
me.
more.
Yes, that's what I was waiting to hear. As salesman, that's the give me something. Help me help you. Help me help you make the sale. That's what this looks like.
Leverage some insights to make me believe in what you're saying.
100%. Give more. This is good. Because guys, these are things we see as salesmen, right? I mean, especially in face to face.
Keep that one. That's where you like
Oh,
it.
yeah, okay.
And that's the last one. That's the last one. Let's do the last one.
I had the last one. Well, there was that one too, but kind of thing. I want to do.
Okay, good.
Yeah, but sometimes you sit into.
Not engaged in any way whatsoever.
Considering, pondering.
I was thinking, I can see that, but what was it I was going for? But yeah, I get that.
Let's keep this observing too.
Ready for a nap.
How about this? Have we thought about this? Have we thought about this? Have we thought about how far he is away from the table? Have we thought about where he's turned? He's not looking at work. He's not looking at his iPad. He's not looking at his laptop. He's not looking at his phone. He steps back, looking down. What does that mean? What is he telling us right here? He's telling us something. We just gotta look for it.
he's either thinking or he's.
This one could be a confusing one, cause it could go both ways.
It
It
goes,
could be disappointment
Yeah.
or curious.
Yeah.
He's thinking of something totally off
I'm
the
thinking
subject.
protect.
And that's where I was going. Bingo. That's where I was going. He's probably not even like you're coming into the office face to face.
Yeah.
He's probably off target.
Yeah.
He's probably, man, I gotta pick up Gene from school tonight,
Or no, I have 3 machines out on the floor, but I gotta be in here for this meeting, and you know, I got, there's more
There
things
you
I
go.
can do.
That way to pick up.
That's what I was thinking.
And I was right. He guessed right, and I was thinking that too. That's why I caught on that.
So let me ask one.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, just, cause Jeff does this a lot, I don't know if he means anything by it when he does it, but he does this a lot when he's talking.
Yeah, you guys told me that yesterday, I didn't even notice it.
Yeah, he does this, he talks
What
with
do I
his
do?
arms
Oh,
all the
all the
time.
time.
I have my friends send me texts with, like,
Yeah.
they just like, they don't say hello, they
So-
send me 4 hand
So,
signals.
but
That's
to
it.
us, to us, when the hands come up like this, it's, I'm not,
Like stop or something.
I'm
That's-
done, I'm not buying it, I'm resigned,
I give up.
I give up.
Well,
Now-
and let me say, that's a good thing to bring up, because about this team building, my best friends, we're having a great conversation, I'm doing this. I mean, so it's not a negative thing in mind, and maybe you guys don't know, you guys don't see
Well,
it on a
that's
daily
the reason why
basis.
I-
Yeah, no,
that's
I'm
why I
glad about
bring it
that,
up.
because when I'm doing that, I'm not done, I'm just, that's me, I'm gonna,
The whole time at East Tech, he was doing that, he wasn't.
yeah,
The
I
whole time at
think,
East Tech, he was doing that.
yeah, it's not a negative thing.
No, no,
Maybe-
not
Maybe that
negative.
explains
We're
our
just-
relationship, that you guys
Right.
think I'm being negative. I
It's a
just, my
weird quirk
hands.
of his, I think.
Yeah.
That's the reason why, that's the reason why I wanted to ask it.
Yeah, not all my friends, a lot of my friends make fun of me, my one
But
friend
you
does.
you see that if you do this,
Well, so what happens is, what I'm thinking of from that is when you do this, you're moving quickly. It's not staying there. So usually a stop sign, right, to keep it simple. So you bring that back, that means stop, but that's usually stuck. If he's still going and doing this, I mean, we have no need to inform that he's doing anything other than talking. I'm with you on that because you're not frozen. You may end a statement here, but you keep moving. If you're moving, you're moving. I think you're just talking. And is that what you're doing? You're just talking?
Oh, yeah, I talk with my hands. Somebody actually challenged me, could I really have a conversation like this? And I
This is what he does.
Yeah, it's not a negative thing. I mean, I'm glad you brought
See,
that. To me, that
right.
could be one of the
He
best
just-
things I learned from this team building thing, is you guys take that as a, no, it's just, you know,
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah.
It's
He was talking
almost,
about his son doing that, like,
Yeah.
and I'm like, he was not negative, it was talking
And that's
about-
seeing each other, you know, twice a year,
Yeah.
might be something we learned. So that was 6 on good.
Great job. Everybody give him a round of applause. Good job, good job. So I'm glad we got understanding on body language. Guys, as we see on the screen, literally that's 55% of the game. Right? And I'm glad we reviewed that because we had some mishaps there. But that's 55% of the game. Okay? I'm glad Anthony's writing that down. Anybody else want to go ahead and write that rule down? I already took a picture before I move slides and move on. Okay. We're gonna keep moving on.
now that reference there, what's that for?
This is a UK reference that he did. I'm just gonna go deeper into all of this.
Okay.
What he's done, his research behind the
Okay.
3. Yeah. So if you wanna read up on that, that's there for you too.
Okay.
Alright, gives good background. How we doing? We good? Okay, let's keep it moving. We gotta keep moving at a solid pace today. Ooh, I love this one. Goodness. This is gonna be good. This is gonna be so good. So, we know that there's a lot of strategies and tactics we use to get the deal closed. Active listening, right? Usually not passive listening. Usually different types of listening. And that's what we have right here. So, inactive was that passive one we talked about earlier. You remember Anthony brought that up? The not listening, the not really involved, the la 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 la, right? That's that one. In one ear, and what is it called? Out the next. Now let's go to biased listening. Now, I don't know about you all, but when I was younger, my mom says, Aaron, you hear what you want to hear. The ladies always say that to us, right? Have you heard that? You always hear what you want to hear. Now, with this, guys, the takeaway for you all is to understand that there's many types of listening and that's called biased listening. So that what they're really saying is that you're biased in your approach. You're mentally not even engaged enough to hear all sides of the story. Now, that's one thing in sales we don't want to express, right? Biased listening, right? Usually, biased listening in sales sounds like something like this. So, competitors is the objection, and this is where the bias comes in. Well, they say, well, I'm already with so-and-so company. A lot of amateur salesmen say, well, yeah, they're not that good, right? You're biased. But now you're getting that, right? That's where the listener hears the bias. How are we doing so far? And this actually leads a little bit into objection handling. Let's keep going. So that's what gets a lot of salesmen and amateurs saying no there too. Empathetic listening, seeking a truer understanding with all that getting, get understanding. Right? With all that getting, get understanding. See first to understand, then to be understood. Right? That's what that's speaking on. Feeling the speaker, misinterpretations happen from the bias side. We don't want to deal with that. Evaluative, making judgments. A little bit of implying, right? Evaluate, oh, I heard that you X, Y, and Z. Well, maybe have you guys had a look at X, Y, and Z? Right? We're seeking to assess the truth. We're going into it. We're starting to imply. Right? That's what that is. Now, therapeutic listening. And this is what a lot of times, this is that lean on the shoulder approach. Right? I'm there with you approach. This is usually that woman that calls in crying, say you guys put the machine in, and it messed them up for 2 days of productivity, and now that they're losing dollars this month. Right? That's something like that. That's a therapeutic listening. The reason that all these are important is because these different strategies are needed. And you have to use them tactics on different conversations, different days. How are we doing? Doing solid so far? So I want someone to give me an example of a scenario you encounter with that involves how do we want to do it? So I want to sit on bias. Have you all done any bias listening in the past and learned from any mistakes? I know I have.
Exactly what you said. So customers talking about a competitor, you know, I've used WCO in the past, and, you know, what makes you better than WCO? And, you know, I before would say, well, here's the reasons, and I would give them a bunch of features. Maybe they wanted those features, maybe they cared or not. But to me, what I started doing instead is asking them what they liked about their competitor and what they disliked about their competitor, so I could see if there's somewhere where I fit in on the dislike, at least, especially the like part. Say, okay, all the things you like about WTO, I can do these things, and then the things you dislike, here is my counter to that, to try to, you know, maybe push me a little over the edge. I never bash a competitor, or I try not to, whenever possible.
Yeah, I don't ever bash a competitor. If my thing is, if they weren't good, they would be out of business.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean,
that's
what, you know, we talk about our, you know, our, whatever we're talking about, what our, if we had a script we read from, that's my script. Hey, that's a great customer, otherwise it wouldn't be in business. But what I have to offer is, I mean, like sometimes it might be, hey, I live an hour from you, I can be here anytime you have problems. I mean, I know I can tear apart this head, put it back together. That's what I offer, you know, tell what I have to offer besides what they can.
Wonderful. I love that, Jay. I love that.
I agree with,
Brother?
negative selling always comes back to bite you. Because you're probably talking to the guy that made the decision to buy that product in the first place.
You just make
And if you're saying, I can't believe it, I'm the dumbest person in the world to buy that, well, you know. So you can't negative sell.
Anthony and John, this is one small snippet of idea here too. So I've seen a lot of companies, they actually train off that script, and then they have the objection script. Everybody knows about the objection script where kind of has some bias in there. And if one wanted to expand on the grander scale, I would recommend that they teach the right type of listening a part of the training program as well. Because I feel like I've seen it done so many times wrong in the past. Oh yeah, well that competitor is not so good, but what we do is X, Y, and Z. Wait, slow down. Slow down, right? Slow down.
Future dumping.
So no future dump, yeah. So this is major when expanding a company, and I call it scaling. Everyone knows it's scaling, right? So that's something to think about as well. This is helping speaker change or develop. Hey, maybe you should. I know you talked about coming home and you're not liking coming home every day. Things are difficult. Have you thought about maybe spending an hour at the park before you go home? Right? Counseling, consultating, right? That's pretty good. And this happens a lot in relationships. Let's continue with relationship building, relationship establishing trust. Usually using a lot of ethos, right? Relationship building is a lot of ethos. We're of like breed, we're of like kind, like morals, X, Y, Z, X, Y, Z, X, Y, Z. Let's do another example. So I consider consulting being part of the therapeutic realm. Would y'all say to say? Take a second.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're the advisors and the consultants of giving out solutions. Safe to say. So for therapeutic listening, active listening, empathy, what are some other things that are needed to listen therapeutically? What are some other? We already talked about active listening. We don't want to hear that. We don't want to hear the empathy. What's something else that you can do to become a better therapeutic listener and be a better consultant?
Paint a happy picture for the future.
Bingo. Is it considered like selling a dream? Or?
Not selling a dream, but
Okay.
saying, you know, you're in there to solve a problem.
Okay.
You're like, what if this problem solved? How would that make you feel? How would that improve the company? How would that look to your boss? Things like that.
You relay hope. And then you establish trust and you provide the solution.
There you go. That's Anthony and Matt. Anybody else? Give me one.
I'm thinking about a conversation that John had where you went into the customer and they had a left and a right hand and they just mirrored the program,
Yeah.
not necessarily changing the rotation of the cutter, which I think solved a lot of their issues by just listening, observing, seeing what they did, and, oh, well, let's look at this area, and taking them to the solution, and I think that was very therapeutic to their issues.
Back rows.
So those are the types of listening. Now, what I want you all to take from this is that just awareness, right? Being aware. Hey, am I listening to my daughter say she needs something, or or my wife say she, right? Just understanding the places in which you want to listen at and pick up things and making sure that we're aware, right? Opening our awareness is what this slide is for. Any feedback on the slide before I move on?
Yeah,
Okay.
couple things.
What you got?
Because I think during a conversation, you move through several phases of those.
100%.
Because I can see, first interacting with the customer and starting off maybe with the empathetic side. You're listening to them, you're understanding what they're telling you, and you move into the elevative, because now you're taking in what they're telling you, and now, as you said, you're not talking bad about a product, but what you're doing is you're saying, yeah, I understand what you're telling me, but what is it that's causing you the pain?
Right.
And then you move into that therapeutic type thing, and the relational staff, all of that great. So I see, when I'm doing conversation with a customer, multiple pieces of that happening.
Wonderful. And once again, I gotta say, John, this is just like the ethos, pathos, and logos, where this isn't telling you how to directly apply it.
Yeah.
This is giving you the tools on your belt so that you wake up tomorrow and you can hit more sales and help grow the company. So yes, there may be times where it may just inquire therapeutic, and then they're ready to hear what you have to say.
Yeah.
Or in your case, which is pretty standard, which I hear as well, you make a judgment after coming therapeutic, and what that does is it builds relationship
Right.
trust. So there's many ways you can add to these combinations. I will take that, and any feedback there. Anybody want to clear anything up? Or?
One other thing about relational, so this is something that I've done in the past, I don't do it every time, but
Okay.
especially with Ben, so you go into an account, you're working on, let's say, a live tool, and they're having issues with run out, or whatever it may be, and let's say it's not your tool. Then you suggest some other options that are outside of your normal realm, you go above and beyond. So I'll say, listen, here's your problem. The cutting tool you're using is having issues with run out because the SFM could be wrong. So why don't you call the guy, the ISCAR guy, and come in and take a look at the tool. So if you offer solutions outside of only yourself, meaning being selfless rather than really just focusing on your own selling, all I care is if he buys another tool. No, I care if he gets the part done right. So that will lead to the next time the opportunity comes up. Hey, remember that guy who was in here, and even though it wasn't his tool that was the problem, you recommended the solution to bring in the other guy that could technically fix it. And that guy, trust that guy. It builds a lot of trust. And in some cases, when my company doesn't make that exact product, and it's a competitor that makes that exact product, I will absolutely recommend that product because I know I don't make that product.
100%. Any other feedback? I want to go into this, but I want you guys to speak first. Any feedback? Any feedback on what you talk about building the relationship and establishing trust? Good. Okay. Now, one thing I found that helped too is I always, the best way is to when you're right people, that builds trust. So you're like, hey, go to Google. If you Google, do you have your phone with you? Yeah. If you Google so-and-so solutions, right? Did you see on the second link how it says X, Y, and Z? Yeah, that there built trust in like seconds. And we would use Google. Like we didn't use the competitor, we didn't use our company. We literally went to Google and that built trust. So that's something I would recommend doing too, is people love the free bits of information that you give. Especially when it's right and it works for them. You want to over quick.
I get calls from customers that tell me, hey, Carlos from WTO told me to call you because they don't make writing clients and you do. He's my direct competitor and we fight in the same territory.
I have a question. Have you all ever heard of, in business one always needs allies and, what's the other one? In business you always need allies and enemies. Allies and enemies. Y'all heard that?
Yeah.
I believe that. I believe that because it honestly, it plays a role, especially in your case getting referrals, right? Sometimes they're the competitor in what you do, but sometimes they just may not have that expertise or that value there. And that's an ally that's helping you make more money, right? Essentially, right? Jeff, you have any feedback on that?
No, I mean, the biggest place, I don't do it as much as PMTS, but you're sitting in a booth at all the HFO open houses. You're sitting next to two of our competitors. My two competitors, they're my friends,
Same here.
Yeah, they're my friends now, and you know, and we work off each other. I mean, at bigger shows it's hard, but when you're just at HFO open house, it's a little bit easier. I mean, you know, it's like, and yeah, I mean, people used to work with, why you don't talk to them? They're the enemy. I'm like,
No, they do that. They do that. People
what are you
do
doing?
that.
What, you looking for a job? No, I mean, you know what? The other part is, hey, even if they're the enemies, keep your friends close, keep your enemies closer.
You smart guy, 48 Laws of Power. You read that book? You probably read that book.
I know, but I know what you mean.
You know what I mean? You know the
Yeah.
concept. So that's really good, guys. That was good to hear Jeff share. That was good to hear Jeff share. Sometimes it's always just, hey, don't tear the company down. We're not biased. Listen, right? Let's start with these, right? Those at the top are kind of those we don't want to do, and as we come down, the more important the conversation gets. Okay? Let's keep moving. So what I'm going to show now is a very simple communication model. What this does is it helps your mind break down and understand actually what's going on, right? So people, they say, listen, you're not listening to me, you're not listening to me. Well, what does that mean? Well, essentially, the sender was saying that the receiver is not listening. So the sender was saying that the receiver isn't breaking down or decoding what the sender is saying. So we are sending signals. That's why I had Jeff come up and do a facial, he uses body language, right? He was sending so many signals. The goal was to really break that down and understand them. Now, we did a good job as a collective of decoding what Jeff was sending out to us. Is that safe to say? Just about. Now, the thing is, a lot of times we won't have 2 minutes to do it. So it seems like the problem in sending and receiving codes is a time issue. So this right here in red, which is the message, seems like that's the time that you need to dissect the message from the 2 people that it's coming from. I'm gonna take a second right there. I think I went a little quick. Let's break it down. We have to receive quickly as salesmen the message that the sender, the client, is sending us. Quickly. That adverb, quickly, quick seconds. The faster the seconds. Now, what I taught today gets you quicker. Build trust faster, ethos, pathos, logo, quicker. Everything was a quicker. That's why you never heard of Enneagram. Because now that you know personality styles, your calls or anyone's calls quicker. Understand people faster, say the right words better. We're getting into language play next. We're looking into objections coming up. But these are things that help speed up the process, guys. That's what we learned today. And once again, the receiver, right, the breakdown and encode from the sender, right? It goes both ways. A lot of people don't understand that. It's an equilibrium. Right? What we do every day, we're the middleman, we're in equilibrium, right? There's the company, there's the client, we're right in the middle to help the equilibrium for both. How we doing so far? We get the message. So, as a matter of fact, guys, I gotta share something small with you. Is my name Aaron, it actually means messenger in Arabic, I believe. And just like, you know, Aaron means messenger in Arabic, Jeff means something different, but we're all in this room as messengers. Right? We all get messages day by day and code things quickly every day. So we're all one team. Is that safe to say? Right? We all encode and decode messages. Go ahead. Right.
What was the first thing you said in this meeting today?
To you all?
Yeah.
Hey, we're gonna have a great day, probably.
No?
What
He
is
said, make sure you let everybody finish their statements.
Yep.
So you gotta be careful when you're decoding this,
Yep.
make sure you hear their entire statement
Right.
before you jump to their own conclusions.
You're right. You're right. And as a matter of fact, another thing too, I love that, Ryan. You just gave me a tangent. Another thing is the statements that we also don't always hear. Body language there, but judgment. So a quick way, as you all know, to build rapport and to understand someone or to have an idea of the paradigm of thinking that one might have is to make quick judgments and or assumptions. Well, here's an F-150, Fisher shirt, nice khakis, wonderful boots, he probably fishes, right? Pretty simple, quick to kind of get to building that rapport faster. What I want to say is, and why I brought up Albert Mehrabian, is there's a lot more nonverbal in things than if you open your awareness than there are verbal. His shirt tells me a lot about him. My towel in the back pocket tells me a lot. The fact that I wear red instead of white tells you a lot. There's a lot of things, signals in this room right now. Like, matter of fact, let's stop right now. Let's decode something, right? What does this room tell me? The size, the colors they have on the wall, the paintings they have, the way the TV is set. What does this room tell you? Other than that, it's a business room. Decode this. Become aware. What do you see?
It's a small, closed, comfortable room.
Sure.
Trying to be a little fancy.
Yeah, well, What told you that, the design? What told
Or
you
the
that?
pictures, I would say.
Pictures, he going pictures, okay, anybody else?
The pictures are not fancy, the pictures are representative of the community we live in.
Now we decoded the way we gonna decode. Let's go deeper, everybody. So he said the pictures are a representation of the community we are in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
So it's, I've used this example before with a photo, and I said, tell me about the photo. And they said, it's a photo of a farm. And I said, but what's going on? You know, it's in the details. It's in the details that are there. The picture was a farm, it was a tractor, it was a combine, or behind it was an old tractor, an old combine, you know, so, you know, the question is, you know, what it was, so that was good. I didn't catch that. Although I did see the furniture picture and I did make the connection, but I didn't, when you asked it, I did not.
I like to take this a step back. We move so fast. We're in so many meetings. Our phones, literally a lot of us in here, even myself, have 2 phones, right? It's time that we take a step back and kind of decode and become more present. This also helps us be more present as people, better yet just salesmen and businessmen. How we doing so far on that? Right? So what I pick up from it is almost like you, so I can see there's more woodwork, so very blue collar, right? Safe to say, blue collar. It's an elegant, right? Just looking at the way that they did the outside, the lining, right? They did a nice image there. I like that they try to keep it lighthearted and light energy. It's aqua. Against this, they have an elegant design, right? To match the hotel standards. To match the hotel standards for the clients that come in. So there's a lot here that we can dissect. The lighting there, if we just look up, we can observe that the style was to match the wall and the wall was to match the people. So it's inclusivity that they're looking for, to include everyone in something. There's a lot of details around us. So if we're on the phone with a client, we're talking about a solution. At that point, we can use a lot of our instincts, like we talked about earlier, tonality, hearing their voice, hearing their interest, and then we see them in person. Our eyes, as salesmen, as you already know, need to be, you know the term scanning the room, scan the office. What can I find in common? What do we see? You already know quite a few of these things, but this will open up more awareness to you. Now, going forward, man, wear that shirt today. You got a lavender stripe in it. We're gonna go walking out to the machinery booth, and I see that they have the exit sign all the way in the back, but right near the restrooms. Okay, maybe that's for a reason. It's gonna allow you to dive a little bit deeper, yield better conversations, get more sales. How are we doing so far?
Yeah. Go ahead, comment on decoding.
Okay.
I've noticed a lot of times when I listen to somebody and they telling me something, sometimes I think I clearly understand it and sometimes I don't.
Okay.
And so I find that it's better for me to ask the question, to be able to say, tell me if I'm right or wrong, because this is what I think that you're trying to say to me, or this is what I heard. Is this correct? And I've had people say, no, you're completely off.
Mm-hmm.
You're completely off.
Ron did that to me earlier.
Yeah.
Ron, and I'm glad he did that to me, because then what he did is he allowed the room, he opened up the room for me to be corrected, therefore I clearly have understanding, and all that you do seek understanding. So I'm glad Ron did that, right? But he wouldn't have done it unless I either clarified or stopped me in my tracks. So it's glad that people correct us, right? I mean, a wise man loves discipline, right? And that's good that he's coming forth and saying, hey, Aaron, you were wrong, right? I said, you know what, that was my fault, and break it down to me clearly, and that's when I understood the employee structure here at Bench Tooling. How we doing? I relate with that. If you also think too, John, that relates back to the reiteration we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
So these things you do know, what this meeting today is about is bringing those things to awareness, putting them together to yield better results. This isn't nothing new under the sun, right? It's bringing this stuff together, organizing it, and bringing awareness to it so you can go be better tomorrow.
Are you gonna highlight more on that reiteration later in the thing, or have we already covered that part of it, or?
Honestly, reiteration will be more like a tomorrow thing.
Okay.
So there are 2
Okay.
topics tomorrow. Reiteration will come better in the first topic in the morning because that's selling mistakes.
Okay,
And that's the main thing people don't do. They don't reiterate. That may be the first selling mistake we talk about tomorrow, actually.
okay, okay.
So that's more of a tomorrow thing as we keep moving. But reiteration is
Okay.
big. There's many ways to do it too.
Okay.
There's many ways to do it. Many ways to do it. Let's keep going. So objection handling. Objection handling. First off, what does the word objection mean? Right? Some people say they're objecting and that they're going against them. Some people saying it's no, blocking the doors off. What does objection mean? Objection.
Means
Not accepted.
Not accepted. Great answer.
not buying in or don't agree.
Not invested.
Yeah, yeah,
Rocky, I like that.
yeah.
And yeah, cameras up too. This is another link to, this is revenue grid. Basically the stuff to get more revenue, quite simply, and it shows the format. And that's that there for you. So objection handling period. I'm gonna take a picture there before I go into a little detail. Okay, so objection handling best strategies. Acknowledge it. So I love that. When I learned how to do that, oh my God. For example, we did it today. Someone told me something that was counter to my topic, and I always agree. I'm agreeing in a way that it relates to the situation, but that's acknowledging the objection. Well, Aaron, I don't want to pay this for that. I mean, that really don't make sense. I get that it's quite confusing and tricky. I can see where you're coming from. That right there, that acknowledges the objection. I'm acknowledging what he's saying to me is relevant. I'm respectfully doing it, and I'm respecting his place. So, therefore, he's more open to hear what I have to say. I found this in sales to be the best. They talk first, we talk second. They talk first, before we talk second, let's acknowledge. So it's they talk, acknowledge, we talk. Who want to write that down? They talk, acknowledge, we talk. Ooh, that's it right there. They talk, we acknowledge them. So that's the reiteration, John, that you were talking about that we'll probably get more in detail with tomorrow. Acknowledge, that's the reiteration, acknowledging. That's the $1 million right there that people miss. Oh, I don't want to do this today, John. But okay, so we have these options. Well, respect, he's a human being. Matter of fact, understood. I can see how you think that. I mean, because if you think about it, there were two ways we were talking about it. One was to the left and one was to the right, 90-degree angle, and one at 180. Would it make better sense that we go ahead and look at this option, which is, because it's away from what you said. Yeah, Aaron, that makes sense. Bingo. We're still in the game, we're still fighting to sell. Instead of, oh yeah, here's this other solution. You talked about having this budget that, guys, that kills the emotion. That's not empathetic listening. That doesn't show understanding. Let's get that out the door, right? So always acknowledge the objection, which is a reiteration, essentially. Listen carefully and paraphrase what you hear. Actually, we're going into the reiteration right now. So you were telling me your daughter Jean, y'all went to the pool yesterday. How was the trip? I'm sure you had a good time, right? Am I right? Oh, yeah, he cared about me. He remembered, whether that's an email notification and he had set it on his memory or not. The empathy was there, right? The conversation, the relationship is being built. Very important. Always paraphrase. So you said you had, in your case today, with the example, so you had $6,000 allotted. I'm guessing, is this for this term or is this for this year? Because I'm quite sure that as the year goes and sales go up, maybe 1,000 or 2 can be found in different areas. Acknowledging that, paraphrasing that. You said 6,000. So John, you did say that 8,000 would make sense as long as we can do these things. Is that safe to say? Oh yeah, that was safe. I respect that. Okay, why don't we? I believe at this point I would recommend opening up the door for this type of XYZ conversation. That's how that works. How are we doing so far? Everybody staying on track? Cool. Let's go ask open-ended questions. We already know that. I'm not going to stay too long there. You brought that up earlier. That's my man Bingo. And validate the objection. That is major. That's just like acknowledging it, but validating it. What you're saying? So let's go right here. Let's say there's a piping system. Okay, so the pipes are not working. I respect that, I understand, and so you don't want to go with the 8,000 a year. Okay, well honestly, I got to tell you, if my pipes weren't working myself, I would look at other options as well, right? And you're not wrong here. You're just finding other solutions. How about we do this? That was validating that he's not wrong. I understand what's going on. I'm listening to him. And so matter of fact, enough from the sender, let's look for the receiver. What is he decoding from what I said? He feels heard, understood, recognized. Important. Whether we're $1 billion company or a $100,000 company, the empathy is the same. You noticed that, right?
Yeah.
That was deep there. Whether it's $1 billion company or a $100,000 company, the feeling of empathy was the same. So it wasn't a money value; it was a personal issue. You see what we're talking about over the phone a little bit?
Yeah. Okay.
So let's keep going. Incentivizing. I love this one too. This gets what I call buy-in. Right? Everyone knows about buy-in, getting investment or buy-in, like we just talked about. Here's what incentivizing looks like. Hey, man, look, you called the other day. Hey, I just had time to get back to you. So we're busy selling, right? Just had time to get back to you. Man, you did a great job. Matter of fact, you did a great job when I sent you the diagnostic test. You had your daughter complete. This is for tutoring, right? You had your daughter complete the diagnostic test. Everything went well. My goodness. As a matter of fact, for doing that, I'm about to send you a thank you email. I'm about to send you a thank you email. It's probably going to come in the next 2 minutes. And the reason I'm sending it is just because you went ahead and took the diagnostic test. I know it wasn't hard. Kudos to you. For some reason, although we're serving them, they feel like they served us. I found early in my career that people usually only do things that benefit them. Nothing's wrong with that. We're not here to be right or wrong. We're just here to leverage the different philosophies and things we know to get the sales done. So if we know that, then why don't we incentivize? Hey, matter of fact, incentivize can be a 2-minute phone call, a happy birthday, an email. Guys, it's the simple things here that cost companies millions that they're not getting. How are we doing so far? Yeah, hey, you bought the piping the other week. My goodness. Yeah, you know what? Just for that order, man, when are you going on lunch? Okay, what I want to do is maybe I send over what? $20, go get you something to eat, all right? Or maybe a happy hour later, I'll get you a treat. We're literally giving them incentive for them giving us money. We're literally giving them something for free for the money they gave us. Are we breaking that down? It's a wild philosophy. No one does. The things that no one does that cost companies millions: acknowledging the objection, validating the objection, and incentivizing. No one does that. Are you guys incentivizing on the day-to-day? Probably. And that could be a phone call, an email. That could be like call this customer back and say thank you.
Yeah.
That's an emotional emotional buy-in. Hey, tell them thank you and tell them you'll give them a call every Monday just to check and see if everything's all right. Customer service a lot of times is incentivizing. You do something for me, I do it for you.
See, one of the problems,
Okay.
I'm hearing what you're saying, and
Okay.
I don't like the word incentivize.
Incentivize.
And, because it sounds like a financial reward, and you use it a couple times as a financial reward, and in our business, that's frowned upon.
I may have to interject only because there are some ways where it could be just a 2-minute phone call or email. Keep those in mind.
Yeah, so if you do it by the sake of thanking them and that kind of stuff, it's better, you know, and you know, offering some service assistance and help, that's better. But in our field, just about everybody that we deal with today, they can't give them out gift cards, you can't give them money, you can't take them to lunch. For buying something, you take them to lunch for the sake of building a relationship. But,
Okay.
yeah.
And once again, these are just the main tools. The creativity is yours, or the format is yours here at Biz Tooling. But these are just the tools that can grow the company more, right? So incentivize, like you said, it may add, let's X out monetary.
Yeah.
Let's add in maybe an extra service on the side. Now, we're already busy and booked, so maybe it's a text, or I don't know how you all do your CRM system, but maybe somewhere in the CRM system you're, hey, it's Monday, listen to all our clients, thank you for being there. Like, just customer appreciation is a little bit of what incentivizing is. That's key, because customers like that, and like I was telling them earlier, the second sale is always a lot easier than the first. So if our second sale is a lot easier than the first, and we're selling them and leaving them to dry and not serving them or incentivizing them, then we're missing many sales down the road. And we're getting some head nods around the room. So the money is honestly in the second sale, but before the second sale has to come, after I sell them and we exchange, right, money for service, that customer that part right after, that incentivizer customer service or customer satisfaction, that's the bread and butter to get millions of dollars in the future per client, right? The second sale is a lot easier than the first. Good.
I've actually used the line of calling the customer and saying, I knew you were gonna make the right decision. And you'd be amazed how they respond to that. Because so many times a salesman gets the order, gives the customer a warm handshake, and it's gone.
Yeah. Anybody else? Where's a time where you experienced this, or maybe you've done it like Tim here and it worked out well for you? Maybe sold something and maybe sent a follow-up email. They were just so happy to hear from you. Maybe a phone call from a account from back then, and you come back and check in and incentivize them. Maybe, you know, is there anything
Thank
like
you
that?
card, just a simple thank you
It's
card.
simple. That's where it's the most simple thing that no one does.
Yeah.
And that, keeping that relationship for the second, third, and fourth, and all the way up to the 10th sale, you know that's the same account with a 10x growth potential? Like literally from a $5 Post-it note every year? Things like that, guys, is why I'm bringing awareness to it. Any feedback, any thoughts? I know that this is getting a little intense, I don't wanna lighten the mood a little bit. Any feedback? How we doing? I'm dance, how we doing?
Well,
But I,
they receive them, so they do.
I got a question on validate the objection.
Go ahead.
When you validate the objection, I understand you're coming back and you're saying, yes, I understand, I agree with you. Is it okay to, at that point in time, say, but what you are looking to do or what you request to may be impossible?
There always, you can always, the validation is step one. However you get to the solution, that's all in your book. That's for sure.
Okay.
For sure, yeah. Validating is just the A to the B. The B is how you word your consultation strategies and things.
Validating is just the acknowledgement.
Now, what I found too is there's some, we're gonna get into language, but I think here in a little bit, but the language here is key. Like when I hear the word but, so if I say, hey, I'm calling, hey, something went wrong. Yeah, something did go wrong, but it's because you all used the wrong system. But to me is a word that's not very, it's very against. It's yes or no. It's versus me, right? And when you tell someone but, to me, that's just my personal opinion. It'll be something like this. Yeah. And as a matter of fact, since this came up, maybe we should look into X, Y, and Z. Anything but versus words or competing words, or you want to be with the client in this process. And so that's what I would recommend, like not but, or did you do that? Or the goal is to be a team in solving their problem and solution here at Business Tooling. So just keep in mind with that word, but. Yeah, I told you what to do, but you didn't do it. Right? Then you get in that conflict, right, Rocky?
But takes away everything in front of it.
Literally. So I would watch that. But no, I heard everything you were saying with the A to B, the A, the validation, the B, creativity, how you consult.
Right.
But that but word, you gotta watch that.
Okay.
You just did it.
But that but word?
Yeah.
But that Y'all are wild. Hey.
I heard him do it 2 minutes ago, saying but, don't use but.
Hey, y'all are wild. Y'all are so wild. Bro, I'm gonna move on.
Did you notice the other thing he did?
What I do?
What you do? Boom!
Wow. Look, y'all, look.
Let's tear this guy apart for the rest of the day!
No, keep it easy on me. It's the end of the day. So once again, guys, we know that emotion builds the trust. Objectives, right? Erase doubts, shapes the lens of the conversation, keeps them hooked. Now we're gonna do some objection handling right now. So we're gonna let me get everyone will probably do it. Let's do everyone do it. So what is 2 or 3 main objections you hear on the daily? Price.
Delivery.
Let's talk about that. That was like 3 yeses. So delivery. Let's go ahead and role play. John, let's go with who do I want to go with? Let's go with Tim. Jonathan, you mind doing a light role play for me?
Yeah.
You guys mind coming up to the front? And
Not really.
Hey, come on, Tim, stop. Tim, hey, so the goal here is to have one be the client, of course, one be the consultant, and the problem is delivery. Right. So let's go consultant. I'm like, yeah, Tim.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Okay, so consultant, my man John. Client, Tim. There's a delivery issue on your part. Y'all go ahead and let's see how this goes. Go ahead.
Hi, John, how are you?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
Good. Where are we on delivery?
Well, I'm sorry to say that the delivery is a little bit longer than what we anticipated.
And what would that be?
Well, we're looking at about 16 weeks for the product to get into your hands.
That might be a killer.
I understand, and we are trying to do everything that we possibly can, but with the supply chain issues that we're having today and the manufacturing process that we've got going through, it's created a little bit of a bottleneck. We're trying to get through that, and we're doing everything possible to get that to you faster.
I want to pause there. I want to pause right there. Because the main part of the objection is just about over. Now we're getting into the weeds and understanding different timelines.
Right.
So how do you feel like the customer received that? You said, I'm sorry to say.
I don't think you received it as well.
Not that well. So I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not saying it's wrong, but I just wanted us to interpret this. Let's go ahead and solve these problems. Delivery. And let's switch roles. Tell me what's so unfortunate. You're the client.
Yeah.
Delivery. Let's go.
Yeah. So Tim, what is the status of the delivery of my heads?
Okay, so I talked to the factory. They're busting their hump to get these to you as quickly as possible.
It's looking more like it's gonna be 16 to 18 weeks.
Wow. You know what that did to my production?
I'm quite certain. I promise you this, I am weekly updating, I will be weekly updating you. If we can speed the delivery up, John, rest assured we will.
Let's pause there. Anybody know how did that make you all feel? A little more taken care of? No, what we're looking for here, guys, the objection handling is the customer service. Great job, Tim, on the customer service. Great job as well, John. Now, the thing I heard, and I want to hear if you guys heard the same thing, is when John went, we heard more of the victim approach. I'm sorry to say, we threw ourselves under the boat. You know, it's us, it's us, it's us. Unfortunately, I feel like the client doesn't want to hear that.
Yeah.
So once again, when we talk, we need to talk from a place of the client and not ourselves.
Okay.
I love how in Tim's case, but then you tell me you're gonna update me weekly, that serves the client.
Right.
You tell me that you keep me informed and you're watching everything, and oh, that feels nice. 16 to 18, he gave me a range, he gave me hope, that felt nice. So there's things that we need to do for the client that we need to speak towards on delivery, even if it's as hard as delivery, because that was a challenging one that you all overcome. Anybody else? We're gonna get 2 other people or feedback, Ron.
Yeah.
Good job, everybody. Go ahead and give a round of applause.
Yeah, this was for, you know, deliveries, but I find that you can deliver bad news, as long as you follow it up with a plan. Yeah, I'm sorry, Mr. Customer, you know, the delivery is a bit longer than we thought, but this is what we're doing. We're going out researching other suppliers for this item, that's the long leads. You know, we'll have, guys ready to, when it hits your floor to help you install it quicker, so that we can cut that time down once it gets here, you know, just some type of plan.
Yes, 100%. They want to feel taken care of. They want to feel like, hey, although the problem arises, like how you gave them, we're going to check in with you weekly. We're going to, like those, that was the plan that you are referring to, Ron. Is that safe to say the plan again?
Right.
Right. I love that. That was really good. Let's get 2 other volunteers. Everyone's got to do it, guys, because we got to practice it. Jeff, you ready? What's your name again? Jason, I got to remember. Jason, he's so quiet, I forget. Jeff and Jason, come to the front. Well, now, what's that other objection? Let's do pricing, right?
Now, well, let me ask you guys this. I think our pricing list, we don't negotiate. Right? I mean, we 1 out of 50 orders, do we negotiate? John, I'm asking you.
Yeah.
I mean, our price is price, and I know, because sometimes, I know you're going over things, but I don't know if prices that they think, because we don't negotiate.
You don't negotiate at all?
Well, we don't, because we have a product, 2 different products.
Okay.
One is more of a commodity type of product, so it's priced to be competitive to the industry. The secondary is our specialty products. And our specialty products can appear high, but the benefit outweighs the price.
They're custom.
Right. And so,
y'all do custom solutions. I like that. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and I mean, so we would cost plus percent, you know, I mean, so yeah, we don't, I mean, like, we're talking, it's a good sales technique to know, hey, $10,000, $6,000, we're gonna meet in the middle. We don't meet in the middle.
Okay.
So I just wanted to give you more of where we come from.
You're fine. So let's take price out the way. Give me another big objection. Give me some. What you got?
Service. Repair.
Damn, this sounds wrong. He said, don't look at the screen now. So here we go. Let's do repairs. I'm going to the back of the room and get some lemonade. Let's go consultant, client, and we're going to switch roles.
Okay.
And the objective is repairs.
Okay, so, hey, Jeff.
Hey, you know, I've been a long time since I've seen you last.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, I sent a tool into you guys several months ago and haven't really been updated with the status of what's going on.
Inside joke.
What did I say? Still like once a week.
Where do I go from there? Hey, see, what I go is, hey, I gotta get with our inside guy. Well, hey, listen, I'm just your sales rep right now. You know, I'm working with our inside service guys. I can get with him right now. I just texted him right now, and usually after I text him, he gets back with me in a few minutes. But right now, I'm more on the new part of the tool sales. But I mean, I got to get with our team, and we work with him very well. His name's Jason, and he I consider him one of our best guys we have. So let me get with him. He's very, very busy. So when a text gives me a heads up that I can talk to him, and we'll probably talk maybe even after 5, because he actually puts in extra hours just to help service everybody. So it's not going to be the answer you want right now, but let me get back with you, because when you sent that tool in a couple weeks ago.
That was a few months ago.
A few months ago.
Yeah, I appreciate you doing that for me, Jeff. Just whenever you find out something, let me know.
Right on. Right on. I like that because it buys time to get an actual, because that was like a deflection. And nothing wrong, that's.
And I have to deflect because that's not my department, you know, yeah. I mean, I can come out if I do the other ones, like, hey, let me go get a template, I'll get you a quote, I'll do this, but I can't answer service questions as a salesman.
100%. I like that. You know, he's showing an initiative to try to help me with my issue, and I appreciate that as a customer.
Yeah, like you went the extra mile. Anybody else? What other things did you see when handling the repair issue?
I think it would have been nice if Jeff had said, I understand your frustration, it can be frustrating not being able to have the tool you paid for, and be able to use in your shop. You know, there are other customers that have the same issue.
Kind of show a little more empathy.
Yeah, a little empathy and validating the objection to say, hey, I understand, that's a problem, I totally get it, and then the rest of it was exactly.
First of all, you guys had me insecure, I was doing this. I'm like, just don't go over here. No, I seriously, I was doing this, I'm like, oh, I gotta stop, that's all I
Give me your hermit dance.
Yeah.
He's in the hermit dance. Good. Here's what we'll do. Let's switch roles, same objection.
Hey, Jason, how you been? I know thank you for coming in to see me, but, you know, we've called you a couple times. You know, we're trying to figure out, you know, we sent in tools like 2 months ago, and we don't even have a quote yet. I mean, what can you do to help me?
Yeah, I understand completely. I'm gonna try our best to get you these quotes as quickly as possible. We just kind of had a little snag inside our facility with some of the QCing and repair work, but we'll get you the answers that you're looking for as soon as possible.
I mean, do you think this is gonna be something that's gonna last long term? I mean, we sent in tools, you know, because you know, over the last 5 years, we sent in tools all the time. I mean, it wasn't like this before, but it's kind of like, you know, is this something you guys are working on to fix, or is this?
I understand completely with your concern. It's not gonna be a long-term issue. We're working on fixing this, actually as we speak, so, hopefully going forward, you'll be getting our responses quicker than we have been.
Right on. Everybody give them a round of applause. Hey, good job, man. That was good work. What we like about them is that we can pull apart things. Now, if I was in your role, those two sound like things that are out of your control somewhat. So to handle objections that are out of our control, we know are the most difficult because we directly can't impact them the way we want to impact them and how quickly we want to impact them. So great job of, we deflected a little bit, we add a little more empathy, we're fine. And great job the first time through is kind of sitting with the customer, not just victimized, but more or less giving them a process or a plan on how we're going to solve that problem. So at least I will write down actually those objections and better ways to handle them so that when you guys go back to the office, you guys have better ways. So what did we say? We said that the first objection was what? Well, delivery. And we said we need a plan. So let's write down delivery. When we have the delivery objection, what we're gonna do now and in the future is what? Have a plan. Every time. I don't know if that's a company plan, I don't know if that's an individual plan, but there's a plan to be done. Right, boom. That objection will no longer scare anyone. Next one, repairs. When we set repairs, what were some of the key things we took there? I'm gonna have you answer this.
Acknowledgement.
Acknowledgement. That's literally on the screen, good job.
And, fulfillment, getting back to the customer. And letting them know.
Updates. So let's write that. So when we have repairs, boom. What's going on? They're in panic. Acknowledge them. We understand that emotional understanding, and then let's have some wiggle room for some repairs. Anybody have any feedback and balance there? Guys, these are things. So once again, this is my commitment to you today. I want you all to do your commitment to me and also practice these things. Right? And a handshake is both one hand from me, one hand from you. So it's going to take me to work and you all to work too to get better company results. Okay? Cool. Any feedback on that topic before we move on? We doing good? Objections? Then I was just to briefly. We go into detail. We got a lot of sales mistakes tomorrow morning to hit on, and it's going to be a little intense. So let's go head on tomorrow. Objections, but this is briefly. Let's keep moving. Boom. I love this topic because we talked about this, John and Heather, you guys talked to me about this over the phone. And I don't need to read, and we can kind of look at the definition, but customer service, as a salesman, what does that mean? Now, a lot of salesmen, man, you go in these high sales, high cold call roles, or all these different roles, maybe more consultative solution implementing here. But there's a lot of, like you said, well, that's not my department. I love how you pulled him in, though, and showed y'all are a unit as a company. Beautiful. That's actually what the client wants to hear. They don't wanna hear for example, are you familiar with companies that have, cold callers from like the Philippines? And they call, right? So, companies like that just have dialers overseas, they hate to hear that that's their department. If I called you, and you bought some Nike shoes from me, and I'm a Nike store down the street, and I say, yeah, that's really not my department, take this number and follow the beat, right? And no one wants to hear that. Instead, hey, my guy Jason, by name, is literally in customer service. So here's what I'll do for you, John. What I'll do is I'll call you Monday, and that'll be a follow-up. We can do about 10-minute follow-up. And every Monday following, what we'll do, touch base. Does that sound fair to you? Right? Boom. So what the point of me putting this here today, guys, is to emphasize the fact that we're not salesmen. We're essentially area executives. We manage, we take care of things. Now, although Jason's in a different department than us as salesmen, we still work together. Like, I still may buy Jason lunch and see how things are going, and if I need to check up on any of my accounts. Like, we still work together, although we're in different departments. That is the big emphasis here. That's a lot of salesmen don't do. I made the sale, I got this $6,000 commission. To hell with them, right? Essentially, for lack of better words. And essentially, that's not how this whole game works. Any feedback on that? And the way I see it is taking a salesman role, you're literally taxed like one as a self-employed person, right? Well, in most roles, sales roles, you usually 1099. But if you're literally taxed like an entrepreneur, so act like an entrepreneur. Don't halfway be an entrepreneur. Ingrain the whole process. This is my sales guy. This is me as a salesman and a solutions giver. And then over here, we have the delivery. I'll check up. Like, treat this process, your tax, like we might as well ingrain in that process. Feedback.
Yeah, so when it comes to customer service as a salesman, or any element to that, salesman always wants to be able to give their customers an answer, a very fast and accurate answer.
100%.
Whether it's customer service or it's after the sale follow-up or whatever it is. And so as a salesperson, and if you can't do that, then you feel like you're letting your customer down. Because he's wanting something that's a valuable asset that you can't give to them, because those are all part of the sale, and we don't, we need to be able to do that,
Amazing. I'm glad that you brought that up. Let me hear other feedback before I continue.
Well,
Go ahead, Tim.
there's other practices where you're quoting the customer a delivery, and he knows it's a 16 to 18 week delivery from the quote. He buys the product, and 6 weeks later, he starts pounding you on delivery.
We got some laugh. John's like,
I mean, it happens. So
Every 6 weeks.
I go right back into that guy. You signed the quote. It's 16 to 18 weeks. I can sit here and lie to you all day long if you want me to.
Yeah.
You're not gonna get it any faster.
Yes. And that's, you're on your side as the salesman, that's exactly what you're thinking. On his side as the client, why don't I have my stuff, although you already told him, that's fine. Is it possible, my question to you all as a group, is it possible, so 16 weeks, 4 weeks in a month, per month. Would it be okay to check in every month?
Well, but let me finish.
Okay, go ahead.
I would say to him, I have my eye on your order, and I assure you, my office is pushing the factory for everybody's deliveries to get better. I promise we will stay on top of it and we'll keep reporting back. But sometimes the customer, there is never an excuse.
Mm-hmm.
There is never, they want it, and I've had it, I'm sure all of us have been in this scenario. He's pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed. You deliver the product to him. And a month later, the shit is still sitting on his desk in his office. And it's like, really? Really?
I got an order
But
last
the
week.
customer's always right, that's the problem.
I got an order last week at PO, and in the PO is, here's your PO, please expedite it.
Yeah.
Like, okay, we literally talked about this yesterday.
Yeah.
I'll do the best I can.
Yeah, I get a big kick with the customer, cause I tell them, really? So the next time you come to me,
Boy, they cry wolf.
and you tell me I have to have this in 6 weeks, or I'm not gonna give you the order, guess what I'm gonna tell you? 6 weeks. And I've literally done it.
How did that work out for you? Tell us.
Okay,
Tell us.
so it was a big aerospace company.
Okay.
They were buying 2 machines.
Mm-hmm.
I went in, gave them the quotes, told them the delivery was 8 to 10 weeks.
Okay.
Tim, if you can't guarantee me delivery in 6 weeks, you're not gonna get the PO. Give me 5 minutes. Went out in the parking lot, smoked a cigarette, came back in, said, I talked to the factory, 6 weeks. 2 weeks go by, I call them up. Got a problem with castings.
Mm.
We went to do final grinding wheel exploded because there was porosity in the casting. A bullshit story. He bought off on it. What's it gonna do to my delivery? Not sure yet, but I'll be back to you next week. Next week comes, we didn't get the grinding wheel in. And he said, you lied to me, didn't you?
Wow.
I said, let me tell you something. Don't ever tell a salesman, if you don't give me that delivery date, you're not gonna get the PO. Cause I'm gonna do it. And he laughed his ass off. He said, you're absolutely right. When am I gonna have them? I said, you're gonna have the machines in 8 weeks. And he had them in 8 weeks. And you know how long those machines sat?
How long?
A month before they put power in there to them.
Wow. So they rush you for no reason.
Yeah.
So,
It's a power struggle sometimes with the purchasing guy.
yeah.
They have no control, especially with Benz, if there's no discount. And when we were selling all machines, there was never a discount. They would try to flex on you and try to gain control over you.
Let's talk about that. Ethos, pathos, and logos. How can we use that to get out of that situation? How about logos? Hey, Mr. Customer. Right now, I mean, so you want it in 4 weeks, and about 80% of the industry, period, whether local or national, is literally behind. So like 80% of the people you would talk to about this same solution will be in the same boat. Logos. Great, the negotiation tactic I talked about.
That's what I did.
That's what you do too,
right now. Hey, you can get with our competitors, but our competitors are the same delivery time. Yeah.
Like, because they think, you know, they had that excuse then, well, if you don't give it to me, I'm gonna go elsewhere. Well, let me inform you and bring awareness to the fact that you can spin your wheels or you can trust the process, right? 80% of the industry are doing the same. Or you can use pathos, logo, you can, all of them, man. They all about this. You're a good moral guy. I believe we made a commitment. And I made a commitment to you as a man, you made a commitment to me, right? And I'm gonna deliver as my word says. All you have to do is remember that we did discuss the timeline. I guess things may have sped up for you, and I can do my best to make sure they speed up for you on my part. That's the ethos mainly, no pathos. But that was ethos. So those strategies, I guarantee if you go home and just understand them better and maybe work on implementing them, oh yeah, a lot of negotiation things go out the window. Let's keep moving. So do you all do video conferencing at all? Or okay, that's the next slide. So, post-COVID, there's this thing called video conference that is new to a lot of people. Many people don't understand it, even now, which is cool, right? It's just a new thing. It's not their fault or nobody's fault. It's just a new concept. And it's called video conferencing. Now, I've done sales both video conferencing and in person like you all have, I'm guessing, recently. And it's a different style, right? Video conferencing, easy to get distracted. There's a lot going on, phones are going off. You really can't really see fully the person in their true expression, even if we are on camera. There's this thing called background. So you could be looking at them and they're looking at the beach. There's a lot of things going on that derail us as salesmen. So a couple points that I pulled out, which is a very simple slide, literally 3 bullet points, is remember you're being watched. So in sales, sometimes we get blabbing, or We forget, hey, like, we have to be presentable and respectful. We need that customer service to show on our face on the camera. We're being watched. So if you have your pen and paper, write let's write these three down. Video conferencing, right? And under video conferencing, the first thing I would like you to write down is this right here. You are being watched, act accordingly. That's it. That's step one. You are being watched, act accordingly. I've seen some salesmen get on there with a nice, different hat, barely dressed, because they're at the home, they think they're on Zoom, they don't understand that they're being watched, act accordingly. There's many times I've seen many salespeople come on to C-level executives, half dressed. Half the room behind them is dirty, right? It's just, guys, we're being watched. Like, there's still a level of professionalism on video, same as in person, right? So that's number one. Number two, stay involved. Oh, this is the big one. They'll get on Zoom, hit that mute button, and just hold there. How many, that, just sit. Guys, you gotta make it at least seem like we're in person. Like, I know in person, we'll be talking like this one. We'll be talking solutions, understanding processes. Implement that same thing online. So that means that you can't always hit the mute button. Obviously, mute when it's not your time to speak, just like we talked about as some of the rules for today. Guys, it matters to stay involved. Don't let that silence carry on too long online. It's not like in person. Like you said, that when that silence is in person, you can jump out and say something. Online, it's a little awkward silence. So, number two, stay involved. Number three, identify yourself. Acknowledge yourself. Meaning, other than in the beginning, you can say something like, you know what? So first, identifying yourself means coming off mute at times. So staying involved, that's coming off mute, but identifying yourself is, man, look, we're working on the product, so getting more involved, getting louder, identifying yourself with the problem, identifying yourself to the people on there. Hey, so if there's 8 people on Zoom, hey, Jean, Kara, Sarah, and Lily, and everybody else, I'm so glad you are here with us today. We're glad to talk to you about our solutions, right? I mean, Sarah, I looked you up on LinkedIn. My goodness, phenomenal. I saw your background. Liz over here. You're identifying people. You're identifying yourself as a presence, as the power presence, and it's negotiation per se, right? That's what that looks like. Identify yourself. Identify your presence. Have a presence. Don't be some little mute, unmute, looking at the screen type of guy. You're a salesman and you're a consultant. Identify that presence, right? That's rule number 3. So I will write down, you remember you're being watched, or you wrote the first one down. Stay involved and identify yourself. Okay, everybody wrote those 3 down. Okay, good. Any feedback on that or anything regarding video conferencing at all? We got 3. We'll start here and we'll go around.
Video conferencing. What's your input of being video active and video non-active?
Oh, having a camera on?
Yeah, camera on.
I'm gonna be honest with you, always on.
That's my feeling. But for some reason, there seems to be a bigger trend, and a lot of people are going with video off.
Well,
Trend in Ben's or trend in general, do you think? I don't know. I think trend
For
in
us, it
general.
seemed like the bandwidth was
I
an
say in
issue.
general.
The bandwidth issue,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, it seems like ever since Anthony came out, Anthony never, we always showed our face. And we always had that Ben's background, back then. And then Anthony started bringing it. But I also see it a lot when we do Shank meetings, they're all no video.
Yeah.
I think if it's
Most
a one-on-one,
people.
if it's a one-on-one,
yeah,
or maybe even 1, 2, 3,
yeah.
I think always video. But, yeah. So, I mean, do you see it in general, or are you just talking
No,
about
I'm
stuff?
seeing it in general.
Okay.
I'm
Yeah,
seeing
me
it-
too, me too.
Yeah, and,
Even
and-
today.
and I don't like it, because if we're gonna do video, then let's do video.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, why not just talk on a phone?
Well,
That's
sometimes
exactly what
sometimes you're screen sharing, so I.
And for my
Yeah,
exception
that's
would be
right.
Heiko, because it's easier to call them on Teams than on use the phone.
Yeah.
They'd be like hollow numbers.
But he
It sounds
will go.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
If it's a quick question.
If you go to video, he'll go to video.
Yeah.
You know.
I have had instances with specifically Microsoft Teams where the camera won't work on one party or the other. And so, in both cases, the other party said, do you wanna continue? Let's say their camera wasn't working, but mine was. If you want to go ahead and shut off your camera, it's like, well, I'm already on it, I'm fine with it. How about you? You know, but I've never had that issue with Zoom. Never had a problem with the camera with Zoom. But Microsoft Teams, I do.
I don't have, I've never had. That might just be, I think that's a personal with your computer maybe, but I think we all good with our videos.
Or maybe that's a bandwidth issue, Mike, or a location issue, but, Teams, I haven't had that many complications either. But maybe you could work around that in some way. Maybe a bandwidth, maybe a location, maybe switch a seat, maybe go to a different room.
It doesn't help if you open the lens cap.
Now, one time I had an issue, it was between John and I, we would have our Friday night meeting, or Friday afternoon meetings, and we're doing this, and John happened to say, hey, make sure you guys are all paying attention. You know, and he said it like 3 or 4 times, I think he even said it the week before. And the problem with that, you know where I'm going?
No.
Okay. Because here's me, my Teams is, or my video conference right here, my second monitor's here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like this, though. I'm like this. I'm not looking at that because because my dude, that's my handwriting. I can't write worth a crap. I type if I can type meetings or type notes. So I'm typing notes, and he goes, Jeff, stay on a little bit after a minute. Stay on, because I want to talk to you afterwards. He goes, Jeff, you got to pay attention. He was upset. I'm like, I am, but I was on the other thing. But because he told me that, now I never take notes with another customer. When it's a customer, I'm here. I mean, if it's with us, I might do that. But now I learned, I didn't even realize it. It looked like I was ignoring it.
Yeah.
You know, and it would be fair.
And I never thought about that before, by having
Dual
two monitors, where's the camera, where are you paying attention
Yeah,
to?
and you're
I do remember that now.
Yeah, and I gotta say, it makes a big difference, guys, from with the customer standpoint. They understand us, they see us, guys, so they can do what they might. Now, we're not demanding that the customer obviously get on there. They need to see us and our credibility and our strength and our power and our they need to see us and Ben's in the background. That's what they need to see. Even if they're chilling, riding, driving, we need to be the presence that say, hey, we're the consultants, here for you no matter what, X, Y, Z. So it's important that we do that. Jason, you got something?
Yeah, just, so if you're having a video conference with some fellow employees, teammates, and number 2, stay involved. What if you try to stay involved, but the others won't let you?
Are you the salesman and the owner? You're selling to the owners, right?
What's
this?
Co-workers.
Employees.
Well, I'm with other employees, but also with clients. I try to stay involved, but I get kind of overspoken and kind of pushed to the side. How do you stay involved when that occurs?
There's a couple things I want to say too, and this relates to all the introverts in the room where that's quite common, where a voice talks over them, right? They're softer, they talk slower, people more alpha energy, right? Go out bigger. What I would do is, because it's online, there's many ways to get people's attention. There's reactions, there's the chat box. You gotta find ways to show that you're still engaged, because that means a lot to someone that's seeing that no one's engaged. So you just gotta creatively find ways to show that you're involved, because you're involved. We know that so guys, the main thing here in life is that we know ourselves. I'm sure Jason, you're on Zoom and you know you're involved, but the people don't. So your job is to show people what's going on with you. And there's many ways you can do that, right? Like reactions, hand clap reaction, smiley face. They notice that. But especially when there's a lot of these meetings where people aren't even showing their face and you're doing reactions, you know you're involved, but you got to show people that. It's always usually how we do it and how we show people. And so to that point, I would say, hey, they're talking over, you talk, and they talk over you, and you go back on mute, go in the chat box. Great meeting, guys. One last point I was thinking about is X, Y, Z.
I don't know why Ron does that to him.
That's the idea, though. That's the way.
That's messed up.
I raised my hand, shut
That's another way too. Any other thoughts on that video conferencing? That was big. Now, this is also important, guys, because this affects our sales numbers as well. When they see us to the side, like you said, Jeff, and not all the way engaged, well, am I selling to the wall or am I selling to Jeff, right? It matters. And I know it's new, and that's why I put it in here in the sales and the business communication, because it matters. Any feedback or any thoughts before I go
I think you did, because it's an area that's new enough that there's nothing written on it, there's nothing trained on it. One of the things that I do when a call is important, and I think that I might have short bandwidth, I don't go off Wi-Fi, I have a cable I plug directly into.
Ethernet.
Yeah, Ethernet.
Okay.
Yeah, and that way, and I normally don't do that when I'm working